Subscribe for more mysteries, unsolved and unexplained.
All right, let's just jump right in. Today, we're diving into this explainer to methodically unpack what is easily one of the most chilling and heavily debated mysteries of the last decade: the disappearance of two Dutch students, Kris Kremers and Lisanne Froon, in the Panamanian jungle. Now, there are a lot of wild theories out there, but today, we're focusing strictly on the concrete evidence left behind to see what the facts actually tell us. To really grasp the sudden sheer terror of this case, consider this stark reality. Around 6 hours into their hike, someone used the phones to dial emergency services at 112 and 911. None of the calls got through due to lack of reception. It's just a chilling realization. 1 minute they were enjoying a pleasant hike in a gorgeous country, and literally the next, they were plunged into a desperate, terrifying struggle for survival. And this is what they were up against: the Pianista Trail. It's a stunning cloud forest right on the slopes of a volcano, but just look at how incredibly dense and overgrown that vegetation is. Once you step off the main path, the jungle essentially swallows you whole. It's an incredibly unforgiving and just a deeply, deeply disorienting environment.
Section 1. Journey to Panama. Before they ever set foot on that trail, they were just two vibrant, ambitious students. We have 21-year-old Kris Kremers and 22-year-old Lisanne Froon, who traveled all the way from their home in the Netherlands, arriving in Panama in March of 2014. Lisanne had actually just graduated with a degree in applied psychology, and Kris was studying cultural social education. They'd literally spent the last 6 months saving up, waiting tables together just for this trip. The goal was to learn Spanish, volunteer with some local kids in Bouquet, and celebrate a graduation. It was absolutely supposed to be the trip of a lifetime.
Section 2. Vanished on the trail. But that dream trip, it turned into a nightmare pretty much immediately. On April 1st, right around 11 a.m., Kris and Lisanne started their hike up the trail. By 1 p.m., everything still seemed completely normal. We know this because photo number 508 was taken, showing Kris safely crossing a stream. But they never returned to their host family. The very next day, they miss an appointment with a local guide. By April 6th, the alarm was fully raised and panic absolutely set in. We're talking a massive 10-day international search, complete with sniffer dogs, detectives flown in from the Netherlands, and a $30,000 reward. But there was absolutely no sign of them. Nothing.
Section 3. The digital footprints.
So, with the physical search turning up completely empty, investigators had to rely on the digital footprints the girls left behind on their devices. And guys, this timeline of phone activity is incredibly haunting. The first emergency call to 112 was made from Kris's iPhone at 4:39 p.m. on April 1st, just a few hours after that last normal photo. By April 4th, Lisanne's Samsung battery is completely dead, but Kris's iPhone, it continued to be turned on intermittently, clearly to check for a signal. Now, the last time the correct PIN was entered was April 5th. Yet the phone was still being powered on all the way until April 11th, when it was turned off for the final time. This definitively proves they, or someone, survived in that harsh jungle for at least 10 days.
Which brings us to a staggering number: 77. Just think about that for a second. That is the total number of failed emergency call attempts made from their cell phones over those desperate days in the jungle. 77 attempts to reach out for help, and because of the total lack of reception, not a single one ever connected.
But here's where the phone data reveals a really bizarre anomaly. Like we said, Kris's phone was powered on intermittently from April 5th to April 11th, but during that entire 6-day window, only wrong pins, or no pin at all, were entered. So what does this mean? Does it suggest Kris was incapacitated and Lisanne was desperately trying to use her friend's phone without knowing the code? Or does it point to a third party? Was someone else entirely operating the device?
And the cell phones weren't the only devices telling a story. We also have to look at Lisanne's digital camera, which brings us to another astonishing number in this case: 90.
Get this, in a single block on April 8th, 90 flash photos were taken. They were captured in pitch black conditions, deep in the jungle. The flashes illuminate these bizarre, almost purposeful arrangements. We're talking red plastic bags on twigs, a mirror on a rock, and one really unsettling image showing the back of Kris's head. And then there's the highly debated mystery of photo 509. It is inexplicably missing from the camera's memory card. It wasn't just deleted, mind you. It is completely absent from the file structure. Seriously, how does a single photo just vanish like that?
Section 4. The pristine backpack.
So just as hope was really starting to fade, over 10 weeks after they disappeared, a massive break in the case occurred miles away from the main trail. A local woman found Lisanne's blue backpack by a riverbank near her village. Inside, they found $88 in cash, sunglasses, 2 bras, and crucially, both cell phones and the digital camera. But here is the part that is incredibly strange. Despite sitting out in the Panamanian jungle during the brutal rainy season for 10 whole weeks, everything inside that backpack was in completely good, dry condition. I mean, how is it even possible for electronics to remain perfectly dry in such a wet, unforgiving environment? Section 5. Discovery of the remains. Finding that backpack finally gave search teams a specific area to focus on. It led them to the Kluber River, where, tragically, the grim final discoveries were made. Along the riverbanks, searchers found Kris's denim shorts just sitting atop a rock. Nearby, they discovered a pelvis and a boot with a foot still inside. Ultimately, at least 33 widely scattered bones were recovered and later confirmed by DNA to belong to the 2 women. But what's really shocking here is the amount of physical remains recovered. It was incredibly sparse. They only found about 10% of Lisanne's remains and a mere 5% of Kris's remains. And that brings us to some deeply baffling forensic anomalies. Kris's bones appeared bleached, right? And they had unusually high phosphorus levels. But this condition didn't match the local soil chemistry at all. Furthermore, a Panamanian forensic anthropologist noted that under magnification, there were literally 0 scratches or marks on the bones, which is huge because a lack of marks strongly argues against the idea of wild animals scattering the remains. So we really have to ask, how do bones become bleached yet remain completely unscratched while exposed in a wild jungle? Section 6. Accident or foul play? All of this highly conflicting evidence leaves us with a deeply divided consensus. We essentially have 2 completely different perspectives emerging to explain the exact same evidence. On one hand, you have the official ruling, supported by Dutch and Panamanian forensics, which says it was a tragic accident. They suggest the women simply became disoriented, fell from a steep cliff, and that the harsh river current scattered the remains and washed the backpack downstream. But on the other hand, independent investigators strongly argue for foul play. They point out that the exceptionally late discovery of the remains, that suspiciously pristine backpack, the inexplicably missing photo 509, those weird wrong pin entries, and of course the bleached bones, all suggest a kidnapping or at the very least, a staged scene. Which leaves us with this final, haunting question. Did Kris and Lisanne succumb to a tragic, escalating accident in a beautiful yet unforgiving landscape? Or do the miraculously dry backpack, the missing photo, and the inexplicably bleached bones point to something much darker? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I'm going to leave you to evaluate the evidence and ponder this profound mystery for yourselves.